G'day, here we go. We're going to do a floral, abstract floral today, a bit of palette knife action, lots of colour. This is going to be a bit of fun. So let's tear into this. First up, I'm just going to find a centre here somewhere. I'm just going to bring in a nice whole lot of colour. And with a palette knife, it's really good fun because we don't have to mix anything as you usually would with a brush. It's just pure colour, and we're just going to slap it straight on. So here we go. Let's get a bit of something happening. So rather than mix on the palette, I'm just going to grab it straight out of the jar. And this is just a palette knife, about that big. You get all sorts of different sizes, little ones, big ones, skinny ones, all different shapes, whatever you need. So I'm just going to use this nice big one for now. I'm just going to drag this colour on nice and bright. What I've done here, this is just a phthalo blue, can be any colour you want for a background. So I've just put a couple of coats of this on. It's got a nice look, so it's going to make a nice background. Quite often I'll paint on a black background with florals as well, because the colour really jumps out. So it's all about composition and balance with colour too. So I'm just going to get some reds on to kick me off. So you've still got to be a bit careful because you don't want to make a mess. You don't want a bit dropping off your knife straight up and make a big mess on the bottom. But this is good. It's good fun. Get some greens on here. So this is sort of pretty explosive. We're just building up a nice bit of colour to really jump into your face here. So I'm always looking to think, all right, I just want to build it up slowly, just with different colours. So we get those greens and reds, they're really vibrant and jump out. And then we can start adding others. This is okay. So this is acrylic, obviously. With oils, if I was to use oils on this, it would cost you an absolute fortune because oils are very expensive. Whereas acrylics are a little bit more affordable. There we go. So we're going to keep the balance. It's a little bit more yellow down here. Beautiful. And what you got to watch too, with the knife, if it's on its edge, you can quite easily cut through the canvas. So you've got to be really careful because they get quite sharp on the edges. So it's just nice and flat. And you can use any colours you want here. I want a bit of deep colour now. This is beautiful. Beautiful magenta. And you've got all these textures, that's quite thick. So you've got all this beautiful, thick, vivid colour. It just jumps, it's gorgeous. Where am I going to put that? There we go. Okay, now I'm going to add some white. Here. And with a palette knife, another good thing too is on the palette we can put a little bit of yellow, for example, there, and a little bit of red. We pick up a little bit of yellow there, and a bit of red on the front, and then one big foul swipe, you got that multicoloured stroke, and you can't get that with a brush. That's why palette knife's such good fun. And we can overlap like that without it all mixing in, whereas a brush it'd drag it in, you end up with a big mud monster, it goes everywhere. So palette knife's great. You just got to be confident, think about your balance, the composition, and away you go. Let's get some purples and things happening here. And all these colours just vibrate beautifully with each other. Okay. So that's starting to look really, really good. Love it. A bit more red. So see that multicolour? That's beautiful, and it just drags through each other. You just can't do that with a brush. Where do we need another one of those? Right here. Okay. So you always keep sitting back, looking, just check out the balance of the whole composition, and you'll work out, I need a bit of this here or a bit of that there to make it all work together. So, some nice whites in here. So you can see they come together really quick too. So we'll just load that palette knife so it's just nice, no dags hanging off it. It's nice and loaded up. And then whammo. You've got to be pretty confident because you can make a big mess if you're not careful. So we're just filling in all those gaps. Like a big explosion of colour. Not everyone's cup of tea, but I love it. It's good, good fun. Okay, that's enough of that. Now, just with the same palette knife, I'm going to run just nice and confidently, just whammo, look at that, into it. So have a think before you do anything too much about where you want everything to go. So sometimes you want to whack it on the palette, that way you can put it on its edge and get a nice little run along the edge of the knife to give you a thinner hit at it. And if you have a look at flowers, the little stems, they go all sorts of directions. They go everywhere, little sideways, up and down. Okay. Now I'm going to put a little bit of blue, a little bit of white. That's just phthalo blue. This is the same colour as the background blue, phthalo. So beautiful colour. So we'll make that a bit lighter than the background so it stands out. Give it a bit of a mix. See how that looks. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Right. So we don't want just green because the whole thing's really colourful, so we're just going to keep going with that full-on colour. Little explosions of colour. This is a nice bright cadmium red. Cadmium colours are expensive too. There's different alternatives, but just really bright, beautiful. Okay, and then we'll make a couple of leaves and things. Oh, actually, we need some darks in there. This is Mars black. Any black's good. And that gives you a little bit of depth with all those bright colours. And we're not trying to get everything perfect. It's all blobs and bits and pieces. It doesn't have to be spot on because this is just all about that explosive colour in your face. We're not after any detail at all. Just want to let your hair down and just go for it. Glass of wine before you do it even. Just relax. Tear into it. Okay. Okay, get rid of that one. It's pretty messy. Don't wear your best Sunday suit. I usually wipe stuff all over me. You can't help it. It's a messy job, but it's really good fun. So I'm going to get a smaller knife. This one here. That's just, oh, that's a bit dirty. It's just a nice little shape. So I want to get some, finish off the centre. I've got paint all over my face now. That happens. Okay. And this will just break up the centre of the flower. Okay. And just try and make it look interesting. That's the big thing. What have we got? A bit of yellow. So it's obviously not an actual flower, but that's abstract for you. A little bit of red maybe. So that just creates a little bit of interest. And it's good fun because you're just making your own little composition up here. So if you had, I've got the tubs here too, so if you had tubes of paint, you can just whack it straight on the palette and take it from the palette. It's the same thing, as long as you get to load loaded up nicely. So we just fill in some of those gaps with some nice colour. Beautiful magenta colour here. Oh. Actually like that, so I'll put a couple of nice big ones in. Okay. So just little hits like that all through the centre, just confuses everything, makes it look more natural. Look at that. Okay, so now back to these bits. Get some leaves happening in here. So just really, the main thing about a floral, I suppose, you've got leaves and stems and flowers, so you just, as long as all those components are in, your mind makes up the rest when you look at it. And if you do one of these and hang it up on your wall, I can guarantee all your friends are going to say, wow, that looks great. It's just full on. So, where are we? So I'm not worrying about detail, just blobs. You still have to be a bit confident, know half sort of where you want things to go, but just don't be shy, slap it on. Look at that, it's all starting to make sense. Slowly but surely. A bit more black in there. And this black, I reckon, it pushes the colours out too, the other colour. Very nice, okay, get rid of that. And that's going to help in the centre as well, I hope. Let's have a look. So once again with pressure, we spoke about that once before, really, really just touching the paint here. There's not pushing down hard on the knife at all, it's just really gentle. There you go, starting to come do. And once this is dry, it takes a fair while to dry because it's so thick. In a couple of days I can come along with oils, for example, grab a little brush and get a bit of darks and just pull a little bit of dark into some of them and wipe it back with a tissue, and that'll give you a little bit more depth as well. You can just like glaze a little bit, and we'll talk about glazing in another session, but just to pull little bits of darks on the insides and you can wipe it back off because the underpaint's dry. You get some great effects. Good effects. All right, here we go. There's some pretty little flowers in here. So I'm just loading the end of the palette knife up here so we can a bit more control. Once again, I'm not worrying about any details, just little lumps of splashes of colour. So you can't really wreck it, you can't make a mess. Some white. White really jumps on these colours, it's beautiful. That's just a titanium white, that's the safest bet. Oils or acrylic, titanium white's just so bright and beautiful. So your beautiful reds and the yellows, cadmium colours, like I said, they're your brightest, they really jump. If you use like a cadmium medium or a deep, it's not going to jump as much. You just want the brightest colours you can get. So I think putting these little fellas in here just brightens the whole thing and gives you a bit more balance on the overall thing. Whack one up here. Little floater. All right, looking good. So that colour's starting to just pop now. Look at that, beautiful. So that looks like you've put a lot of detail into it, but it's not, it's just lumps. Very nice. Whammo, that didn't take long. And that's really chunky colour. It's got a lot of vibrancy, movement, the composition works. That background's great. And when this is dry, we give that a varnish and that will just shine. So it doesn't take that long. It doesn't take that long at all to make a powerful painting. And this, I think, is quite powerful. Poof, look at that. Beautiful. A few more yellow ones in there. So if we put too much detail in, you just lose it. That's why it's nice to be just, there's more expressionism, just whacking the colour on, nice and free. And that yellow really vibrates against the blue. It is messy though, so just got to deal with that. You can use rags, but I end up most of it on my clothes. That's all good. Where are we? Yep. So you just jump back now and then, have a good look and think, oh, what else does it need? Just for your composition itself, it all looks balanced, that's looking good. And all these colours, it's great. It's great. It's not just green stems. And that's what makes this, I think that really works. Some of that blue and red. I think we're just about done. I'm happy. I'm happy. So you can keep playing with it for as long as you want, really, I suppose, but where are we? I'm just going to grab a brush off here. I don't know, I've got one here somewhere. Bit of black. So just thinning that down with water to get a bit of a run and a bit of a point on my brush. And out comes this silly stick again, so I don't slip and make a mess. I'm just going to put a couple of little black bits in the middle. I don't know why, but I think that looks good. Whammo, we're done. There you go. So there's nothing to it, it's just nice and free. Let your hair down. Well, I can't do that, but just enjoy and don't be too shy and just get it on. Get it on, and I think, where is it? There you go. So as we stand back and have a cuppa, when you're done, you can look and think, oh yeah, I'll just add a little bit here, a little bit there, just to make sure everything looks good. But I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy with that. And a bit of white. So when I don't know how well it comes up on camera, but there's a lot of texture. This has lifted quite a lot off the canvas. It's quite thick and texturous. That's what makes it exciting. Big lumps of colour. Get into it, enjoy. Done.